Hello folks, R1 here. Today we're going to do a couple of arcade matches in German tanks, one of my favorite, the Panzer III line. And we'll start out in the Panzer IIIL. I really like the Panzer IIIs. I think they have an excellent little gun. Very high velocity, very accurate, very good penetration for its size, all mounted on a fairly nimble and quick medium chassis. Now, in realistic battles, the tank is a little underpowered. It takes it a while to get up to speed, but once you get it going, it maintains that speed fairly well. But in arcade, when you have a little bit better acceleration, I think this tank truly shines. I'm not afraid to take it up against anything in its tier. Now, granted, some tanks that it's going to come up against, it will have a lot of trouble penetrating from the front. Shermans will give it difficulty, but fortunately it is nimble enough to usually get around for a good side or rear shot at something like a Sherman and still perform fairly admirably. It can absorb a bit of punishment. The armor is not the best in the world. You're just kind of a hard target to hit squarely sometimes. But it's not that uncommon for a single shot to blow you to pieces if they hit you just right. So I'm not trying to oversell the tank by any stretch of the imagination. It's just if you're fairly heads up about the battle, you should do pretty well. And more importantly, have a good time. Now, I have moved into one of my favorite positions on this map. It's a great spot to ambush players crossing the middle, or in this particular situation, heading toward the central capture point. I do have to watch my back when I'm up here though, but I do have players that should be able to keep that northern approach, the one that would come up behind me, covered. There's a Sherman down there. I get a good shot into his side. Unfortunately, this replay doesn't show it, but I'm scoring some pretty big damage. I just barely missed his ammo rack with those consecutive shots. Now there's another Sherman facing me and aiming in my direction. And I'm bouncing off his front, unfortunately. He hits me. It's a glancing blow, but he does a little damage, so I have to move. I'm going to have to vacate this position and relocate. And I didn't notice it at the time, but one of the players behind me that was guarding the approach to my rear has disappeared from the map, so I think he's been taken out. So it's just as well that I moved when I did. Still, I kind of think I'd better go investigate. There's columns of smoke rising in that direction, and I'd like to know if there's an enemy buildup over there. So we're going to go ahead and go over the crest of this hill a little bit cautiously, keeping our eyes open. Hopefully we don't get zapped from the left either. Oh, and there's movement. Looks like a Stuart. Let's see if we can put a shot into him. There we go. And he's on fire. And he's returning fire. We're going to nip over here, get our front horsed around and our turret turned. There we go. And we're going to start putting shots into him. I know he's got company back behind him. There's another tank just on the other side of this little rise in front of me. And I'm turning my back to it, but that's because I'm hoping that he'll be pinned down long enough for me to finish off this Stuart. And ahead of me, there's a T-34 that's decided to open fire, but he's coming at me with his back turned, so that gives me hope. I've got the incapacitated Stuart behind me, hopefully providing me some protection from the rear, and I've set the T-34 on fire. And now that I'm up beside him, I'll use him for cover. Oh, there's another Stuart. Alright, well, the T-34 is dead, so I'm going to keep him between the Stuart and myself. Unfortunately, I pop off a couple of shots here that appear to hit the T-34 instead of the Stuart, so I'm going to have to do a little bit better on my marksmanship if I want to come out ahead in this little contest. There we go, got him. Alright, he's down, the other Stuart's dead. T-34. Excellent, we're at 3 kills so far. Now I think I'm going to vacate the area. See if I can get over this rise and investigate what's going on at the capture point. There's artillery barrages going off all over the place. Oh, and there's hostile tanks all over the place too. So Yep, I'm starting to take fire as I crest this hill. I have no choice but to go forward into the artillery fire. I made it more or less intact. Now my turret is jammed straight ahead, so this is going to be problematic to say the least. Take another hit from behind. I've got to keep moving. He's preoccupied with that AI tank, which will be his undoing. I've rammed him, more or less pinned him. We'll put one through his side and finish him off. Now we're up to 4. Alright, we're doing fairly well this round, although I'm badly damaged. And as I pretty much expected, before I have a chance to repair, I already have company. A T-34. He's coming for me with blood in his eye and my name on his shell. Well, that's fair enough. We did okay. I had a feeling that I was being hotly pursued as I left that area over to the west. So I need to pick a new tank, and I think I'll stick with the Panzer III line, the Panzer III J1, I believe. I like the camo pattern we've got on this. I'm going to go ahead and head back in the direction of the fight. I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit here to get you a little closer to the action. Oh, before I do that though, I think that I'm going to go ahead and hop into a fighter, a Yak 7. And it looks like I have a Wellington that I need to try and stop before he does some serious damage to the rest of my team. I'm doing too well. Okay, I got some hits in there. Swing around underneath his belly. I don't have long before he cuts loose with a string of bombs. There we go. On target. His tail cut loose. He got a bomb up though, and it took out a KV bomb. That's unfortunate. Oh well, we'll try a strafing run before we run out of time. But we've only got a few seconds left. It's counting down now. And we're out of the plane as of now. Okay, now we're going to skip ahead. Alright, I've circled around the cap and I'm approaching from the north and west. And Zis-30 pokes its head over a fold in the terrain, and he's going to blow a big hole in me. I've got to get below his line of fire. He has terrible gun depression, so we'll shoot up into him and take him out of the picture. What are we at now? Five tanks and 1 plane. Oh, there's another light American tank. Let's make that 6 tanks in 1 plane. That was a fairly lucky hit. I'd love to say that was on purpose, but it really wasn't. So I'm going to lay down some fire as I close on the cap zone. They've recaptured it as I was crossing over to this area, so that needs to be a priority. We need to take or retake control of this match, and this is the way to do it. So I'm going to dig in here. There's somebody in the far distance we'll snap a shot off at. Sorry for doing this from a replay. Ranger 1 forgot to hit the record button on this one, so I kind of had to put it together from the... Oh, there's a Sherman in the distance. Yeah, couldn't really do much to him. He was coming at me head on. We're just going to back down out of his line of fire, and I'm getting shot from the side. There's a Panzer II there. It snuck up on me, but we'll deal with him. And there's a Stug coming up right behind him. Alright, I got him. Okay, now we're at 8. I think the Stug took out the Panzer II, actually. Good. I'm not alone here anymore. That makes me feel a little bit better. And we're going to scan for targets left and right. If we can hang on to this, we should be in good shape. And I don't think the enemy team has a whole lot left. Oh, here we go. Trying to cut around behind us. And I think he got ammo racked. He went right up. There's fire coming back and forth all over, and there's a T-28 above me now. Oh, I can take this guy if I don't get caught in this bomb blast. Oh well, that's all right. It's a good kill for the Japanese bomber there. I don't think that it's really going to matter, though. I'll jump at a Panzer IV, but by the time I cross all the way back over to the cap zone, this match is going to be over. We're going to be able to hold on to it. We've got a couple of teammates over there holding onto the cap and another one to either side of it, and they're covering it pretty effectively. So this was a win. It's going to end up with 9 kills. I think those are all player kills too. And 1 AI, or excuse me, and 1 aircraft. So all in all, it was a pretty good match. I almost always have fun when I take out a Panzer III, no matter what flavor of Panzer III it may be. So I kind of recommend them as a good, fun tank to jump into, particularly in arcade. I'm going to put together another video on Panzer IIIs, I think, specializing in realistic battles, because they can be very effective in those as well. You just have to be a little more cautious because you're not quite as quick with the realistic physics. Well, that's it for now. Until I see you again, good hunting.